Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this Google Ads course, we are going to go to A to Z and everything in between to setting up your first Google Ads PPC campaign. So timestamps below, of course, because this is a long one, chapters on the side. And if you don't need all of the introduction information on how to figure out what your ad copy should be, you've already done your keyword research, you know exactly what you're going to be offering, then go ahead and jump to this timestamp where we dive straight into the Google Ads interface. Now, to kick things off, we need to talk about what on earth you should be offering with your Google Ads. And so depending upon whether you are a services-based business or you are in e-commerce-based business, this is going to drive ultimately what your offer is going to be, obviously. But what's most important, no matter what type of business you are, is you focus on buyers. We don't want anyone who is still shopping around. We don't want tire kickers, because with Google Ads, unlike other platforms, we can specifically target people who are ready to buy right now, not next week or next month, right? So we don't want to pay for those clicks. And I'll show you how when we get into keyword research. So when it comes to what specifically to offer, there are really 4 options that you have. So if you're e-commerce, then you want to look for either a big high ticket item, or you're going to look for a doorbuster, something that tends to be a lower margin, if not a loss leader, but it simply gets someone to your site and gets them to add something to the cart and gets that buying process started. Now, if you're a services-based business, whether you're a local service-based business who hopefully is actually able to be open, or you are a digital service-based business, all right, I'll stop saying that now. What you're going to want to do is, number one, offer some sort of lead magnet in the form of an audit, which I'll go through in a moment, or you can offer a free discovery call. Now, most of the time here is where I would talk about some sort of service to get people in the door, although depending upon where you are in the world, that might not be possible at this time. But that is something that you can overcome with a discovery call, just at least getting people on the phone and being able to have a consultation with them, even if they can't physically come to your location yet. So here what we want to do is talk about the only 2 pages you should ever run traffic to. So we already talked about the fact that we need to only target people who are ready to buy. And then there are only 2 pages we ever want to pay for traffic to. If you're a service-based business, then we want people to come to a lead capture page. We collect their contact information so we can follow up with them. If you are an e-commerce-based business, then go to a specific product page, not a category page, not a home page. You need to be incredibly specific. So if you're selling, let's say men's watches here, and you have some black ones, you have some silver ones, you have modern ones, you have classic ones. Well, what you're going to want to do is create ads that go specifically to the type of watch that you're advertising. So if you're advertising minimalist watch, then send people directly to your best-selling minimalist watch. Don't send them to a men's watch product page where then they have to go click through the categories, right? So we want to be very specific here. Now, when it comes to your landing page, if you're trying to collect leads, which is the example we'll be going through in this particular tutorial, you want to offer something of value in exchange for their contact information. Now, I recommend using something like an audit, and this gives you the ability to essentially get them on the phone as a free consultation, or you can send them some sort of worksheet or checklist where they can evaluate their situation and figure out for themselves what they need to improve upon. If you want more ideas on what types of lead magnets you can make to actually collect contact information, link in the cards and the description to a lead magnet video that goes through a bunch of ideas. Now, when it comes to your landing page, you don't have to do anything super fancy. You can see in this example, this is what we're going to be using for our campaign. All you need is a headline that clearly states what your offer is, some sort of graphical representation of the offer, even if it's a digital offer or it's just a consultation. It's best to have a picture of yourself at the bottom or some customer testimonials if you have some, a couple bullet points as to the benefits of why they should be giving you their name and email or name and phone number, and then that's it. You really want to keep your landing page very simple, straight to the point, because someone who's hitting your landing page from Google Ads, they are actively looking for what you are offering. You're just giving them a little more information to push them over that final hump to provide their contact information. So let's go ahead, jump into the campaign structure. Hopefully you have a good idea of what specifically you're going to be offering with your Google Ads campaigns. So here is a basic graphic that we're going to be using to help us stay organized as we go through building our campaign. So the way Google Ads organizes their ads is very similar to other platforms. In fact, I would say most ad platforms use Google Ads as their template. So you're going to have a campaign, then you're going to have ad groups within that campaign, and then inside those ad groups, you're going to have your ads, and those ads ultimately drive to your landing page or your specific product page. So breaking this down a little more, you can have almost unlimited ad groups and unlimited ads. Obviously, we're not going to do that. We're going to limit them so you make sure that your budget isn't stretched too thin. And there's specific settings that you can control at each level. So when it comes to your locations, when it comes to your budget and the type of ads that you're going to be running, specifically with search and the networks that you can be running your ads on, that is all set at the campaign level. Then when it comes to the ad group level, this is going to be where you choose who you're showing your ads to. So think of ad groups as audiences, and these are going to be specifically your keywords. And then of course, inside of your ad groups, you're going to have ads. And this is going to be where you spend the majority of your time after this tutorial, because you're going to have to constantly write new ad copy to figure out which one's working the best. So you're always going to be improving and writing your ads. That's one part of this process that is pretty much never ending. And of course, all of your ads drive to your specific product page or your lead capture page. So now let's go into the keyword targeting. Specifically, how do you tell Google when your ads show up? Now, you have a lot of options in the interface when we get into it, but you're going to ignore all but one of them. With search campaigns, you want to use one thing and one thing only, and that's good old-fashioned keywords. We want to be targeting keywords that represent someone who actually wants to purchase a product or service. Google has audiences that can do remarketing, which I'll show you how to do a campaign at the end of this tutorial using remarketing and the power of it. But for right now, for your first PPC campaign, use keywords. They are the single most powerful tool and targeting option you have to make sure that you only pay for buyers. It's really easy for Google to spend your money. And as we go through building the campaign, you'll see Google has a lot of little traps to extract money from you. So here, we're just going to focus on keywords. Yes, there's other types of targeting, as you can see here, but we're not going to be using those. So going back to our diagram here, and we'll go through the campaign settings when we start building our campaign. Now in the ad groups is where, of course, we're going to be setting up our keywords, and we're going to want to group keywords in each ad group. So essentially, you're going to make a grouping of keywords and say, that's audience number 1, and then audience number 2, 3, and 4. So eventually what you're going to have is you're going to have anywhere from 20 to 50 keywords if you have a big budget. Ideally, you're going to be closer to the 20 unique keywords mark. And then you're going to have 3 to 7 keywords inside of each ad group. Now, you may have seen things in the past, or you may have read support from Google that's saying, yeah, just add 100 keywords to one ad group and it'll be fine. The algorithm will figure it out. Well, the algorithm will figure it out eventually after you've spent a lot of money. So unless you just want to throw money at Google, we're going to go ahead and make sure that you only choose 3 to 7 unique keywords for your campaign. And those 3 to 7 keywords will actually turn into 6 to 14 because of something called match types, which we'll get to in a second here. So what you're going to do is essentially we're going to find small groupings of these 3 to 7 keywords, and we're going to make anywhere from 3 to 5 different campaigns of tightly related keywords. So I think that's enough introduction as to how keywords work in ad groups and needing to be nice and small with your keywords. So now let's talk about what keywords should you be using, because they're not all created equal, and 98% of the keywords you could be going after are probably just useless, and you shouldn't be using them at all. So ideally, you have a good understanding of who your ideal customer is. I'll link up in the cards in the description to a video that walks through a data-driven method for crafting a full customer profile. But here, we're just going to focus on what results they are after so that we can figure out what keywords we should be targeting. Because after all, when someone comes to Google and they start typing in that little search box, they are looking to answer a question or solve a problem. So ideally, we want to people who are trying to solve a problem with a paid offer, not trying to solve a problem with a how-to article. So we definitely want to make sure that we are targeting keywords where someone is looking to solve their problem by purchasing something, as opposed to just getting another DIY blog post and then just going and fixing it themselves, right? So we want to make sure that we don't pay for people who just want to fix it themselves, and we only pay for the people who actually want to hire someone or purchase a product. So I'm giving you this as you go through your own keyword research. You want to be asking yourself these questions. Is this someone who's trying to purchase something to move themselves forward or make their lives easier, or are they just trying to fix it themselves or trying to find a solution where they can build it themselves if we're talking about a product? So think of it as your ad in the middle, and then you have all of these potential customers, right? So all of these potential customers are somewhere in their process of making a decision whether or not they're going to purchase your product or service. And so there are three main stages of this customer journey. First, there's curiosity and learning, like, oh, maybe I should fix this, or maybe I should hire an accountant, maybe I should buy some new headphones. And then they're shopping around, accountants in my area, or best headphones for gamers, or best gaming mouse, or best budget hair dryers, or something to that effect. And then there's the buying decision, where they start typing in the specific, maybe they decided they wanted the $500 plus Dyson hair dryer, which yes, it actually does exist. So maybe they've decided they want that, and they're going to look for it's on sale. So they go back to Google and they type in Dyson, whatever it's called, hair dryer on sale. Or they look for bookkeeping service in San Antonio or in Dallas, right? So those types of searches, that's when we want to start our ads to start showing up. So as an example, let's go through someone who's trying to find a mountain bike, right? So red means no and green means go, right? So our green ones would be something like BV Pro 3 mountain bike. That is someone, or mountain bike shop near me. So that's someone who we know is trying to buy something. Whereas mountain biking for beginners or best beginners mountain bikes, they're still shopping around. They're still trying to figure things out. Now that doesn't mean those keywords wouldn't be great for content. If you have a blog or a YouTube channel, or you're doing something else on social media, then you'd want to target those keywords, but not when you're paying for them. We only want to pay for the green keywords when someone's ready to buy. So that's what's really important. Now, the good news is you don't have to go do all this keyword research yourself. Based upon these questions, you can go ahead and pause here and create 4 to 5 groupings of keywords using these keyword formulas. So if you are looking for lead generation, your services-based business, and the location matters, then you'd create a ad group that is location plus service, location plus profession, and then best product or service. And you'd always want to avoid how-to keywords. Do not ever pay for an how-to keyword. That is just a giant waste of money. So you can go ahead, timestamps below, you can always come back to the slide where actually when we go through building the campaign, you'll see a full-blown example of how you can take these keyword formulas and pretty much apply them to almost any product or service. So make sure you come back to this slide to really shortcut the process of doing your keyword research, because at the end of the day, people aren't exactly all that creative when they're typing in how to buy your product or service. So there's not a whole lot of keyword research you actually have to do when it comes to PPC. SEO, yeah, that's a whole nother monster. But when it comes to Google search ads, the keyword research is really simple, especially when you have a template like this. Now, there's one more thing we need to talk about before we move on to crafting your ads, and that is different keyword match types. So Google allows us to tell them how focused we want our keywords to be. So as an example, if we go back to our previous example here and we say trail mountain bikes, so we'll use that as our example. So if we say trail, we just type in trail mountain bikes and that's all we give them, then Google is going to show our ad on any search under the sun remotely related to trail mountain bikes. Now, of course, you can see how that's a problem, because when we just say trail mountain bikes, and even if we say trail mountain bikes for sale, well, if someone just types in trail mountain bikes or mountain bike trail near me, your ad could potentially show up. So we definitely don't want that. Now, broad match is something that kind of narrows it down a little more, but what we want to do is use the last two. We want to use phrase match and we want to use exact match, although exact actually isn't exact anymore, but that's okay. So I want you to think of broad modified, phrase, and then exact as a funnel. And we are forcing Google to be more strict as to when our ads are shown. And you really want to do this because you want to make sure that you are showing up for as close to that keyword as possible. So without getting into specific examples on how each one of those will change, only do phrase and only do exact. Although exact is still kind of like phrase, but phrase and exact essentially make sure that all your keywords have to show up in that phrase, and you're much more statistically likely to have a buyer than if you just did broad match, because you're going to show up for a lot of keywords that are not relevant. So as an example here, we'll go through later, all you have to do to tell Google that it should be a phrase or it should be a exact is a phrase match. You just put quotation marks, and then exact match, you put a bracket. So you can see with this example, you actually have to put in the keyword twice. So your 3 keywords or 7 keywords will become 6 keywords or 14 keywords. And the good news is you will actually be able to see almost the exact keywords that you show up for. So as you start running your ads, you'll actually be able to go back into the Google Ads interface, and you'll be able to navigate to your campaign and then go keywords, search terms, and 80% of the exact keywords that your ads show up for will be listed here. Now, it used to be 100% up until, I don't know, like 8 or 9 months ago, depending upon when you're watching this video. And then Google decided to not be as open with the information. So you're unfortunately not going to be able to see every single keyword here anymore, but you are going to have some fun looking at keywords. As a quick example, we had a hotel and we were doing a Valentine's Day special, and we started analyzing the keywords that we were showing up for around Valentine's Day for our special, and it turned out there were a lot of searches for hotel for mother-in-law. So you're going to find some fun things there. We definitely didn't do a mother-in-law, special. I think that would have been a little too blatant, but you're definitely going to be able to learn some things about your ideal customers that they would never actually tell you. So with that, let's go on into crafting your ads. Again, timestamps below, and if you just want to skip to the ads interface, here's the timestamp to do that. Now, out of everything that we're talking about, this is going to be ultimately where you're actually going to spend the most amount of time long term, because once you set up your campaign, you're going to have to constantly write new ads. Now, there are lots of different types of ads, but when it comes to search campaigns, you're only going to be running text ads. So you don't have to worry about video or graphics or anything of that nature. All of those other types of ads, even shopping ads, those are going to be handled in a separate campaign. So we're just going to be doing text-based ads. So going back to our diagram here, we've talked about what the settings you have at your campaign level. We just went through keywords, which is what you're going to be doing at the ad group level. And now we're talking about our ads, which you're going to be running 3 to 5 max. Really, you're probably just going to be running 2. If you're spending less than $10 a day, 2 ads. If you're spending $20 a day, you can try 4 ads, but you don't want to spread your budget out too much. Otherwise, each ad's going to get like 5 or 6 views or impressions, and then you're going to go, well, I don't know which one's working because it's spread out too much. So I digress, getting ahead of myself here. So what can you do with your text ads? Well, your text ads, you're going to have 3 separate headlines that may or may not show up. We'll get to that in a moment. Then you have your display URL. You're going to have a description that arguably doesn't really matter, but we'll get to that more. Then you have 2 different types of extensions. And so you can have call out extensions and you can have site link extensions. Now, the easiest way to go through this is to just fill it in with a quick example here. So let's say we're marketing ourselves as a PPC management agency in Seattle. So our headline might look something like Seattle PPC agency, honest PPC management, first month free. Now, what's important to note is that third headline may or may not show up. So when you're writing your ads, don't count on that third part showing up. Just kind of look at it as an extra freebie that may or may not be there. And then of course, you can see in the small little circles here, that just tells you the character limits. And what I really like doing for the display part of the URL is doing some sort of urgency or anything to get someone to click to convince them to click now. Now, between you and me, Google seems to be a lot less strict when it comes to what you say with the URL path versus what you say in your headline or what you say in your description. So if you have anything that might kind of flirt with the terms of service of what's okay on Google, or they might not want you making a claim or want you saying, free this and free that, definitely you can probably get away with doing that in the URL. I'll have a specific example in a moment on what I mean by that if that didn't make any sense. So then for the description, you're just going to talk about the secondary benefits of your offer. Hardly anyone reads the description. We've done a lot of split testing. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads over the past year. And yeah, the descriptions don't seem to really move the needle all that much. So just write one or two and leave them for all of your ads. Focus on your headlines. Now, your call out extensions and your site links, these are called ad extensions because they may or may not show up. Again, we'll go through some live examples in a moment, but your call out extensions are just small descriptive features or social proof. So you can see here we have Google partner, ROI driven, contract free, account ownership. So these would be little features of the service or of your product that would be important. So if you were an e-com, you'd probably say something like free returns, 24/7 customer support, free shipping over little bits of information that let people know it's very easy to do business with you. And then for your site links, this is where you can actually have a little extra real estate. Google decides when these show up, by the way, so you have no control over them when they show up. You can just tell Google what they might be. And what these do is allow you to have extra real estate and allow people to click through to a specific page on your website. Again, you want to make sure that those specific pages operate like a landing page or a specific product page. You definitely don't want to have your home page as one of your site links, right? So let's go through an example of the 4 elements you want to look for in other people's ads. This is the fastest way to get up and running with your ads. I'll link up in the description to our Google Ads copywriting course if you want to have a leg up on the competition. But this is the best way to get started quickly. The first thing we want to look for is promised results. The second one is the pain points, objections, and features, purchasing terms, and then we're going to look for what is the actual offer being made. This is very important if you are a services-based business because you're going to get a good understanding of whether or not you need a lead magnet or you should be just going straight to consultations, or you see a bunch of ads that are running ads straight to buying a service, and then I don't have to do a consultation, or maybe I could try a lead magnet to stand out. And so you really just want to dissect what is being offered, what's being promised, and then what are the features and mechanisms of those ads, and of course, is any social proof woven in. So again, you can always come back, timestamps, or pause to see what's been highlighted here. That is really all there is to it, to figuring out what your ads should be. Now, going back to our ideal customer diagram here, on the left-hand side, we've already gone through what kind of results someone is after with your keywords. So here, we want to think in terms of roadblocks and what features or terms of service we can talk about to stand out from everyone else. Because you're probably going to be showing your ad, whether you're doing headphones, you're an accountant, or a lawyer, everyone else who's running ads is also selling headphones, an accountant, and a lawyer. And so the way that you can differentiate yourself here is not just saying my headphones are better or we win more cases, is speaking to specific attributes or thinking about common buying objections that you deal with and include those in your ad. Something like contract free or free consultation or money back guarantee. Those could all be objections that someone would have. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that, but just think about how do I get someone to click on my service ad or my product ad versus all of the other ones that it's going to be lined up next to. And so that's about as complex as ad copywriting needs to be. And just to wrap up this section, Google is very, very strict with what they do and do not allow when it comes to copywriting. So I use this as an example. Get a 3 to 5 ROAS on Facebook ads, free Facebook proven system. You might see ads like this, and arguably this is actually technically against the terms of service. I'm not ragging on the advertiser. I'm just saying you might see ads like this that are making bold claims, saying things like proven or giving out specific results. do not do that in your ads, even if you see competitors getting away with it. It just means they're getting away with it now. This ad could just as easily be suspended next week. So just keep that in mind. Just because you see bold claims being made or terms being used like proven or specific results doesn't mean that your ad's going to be approved. And most likely the ad that you're seeing is going to get disapproved within a week or two, because they are very, very strict. So when it comes to ad copy, don't play around with Google, because they will just suspend you as opposed to tell you what is actually wrong with your ad. So again, I'll link up in the description to a full-blown course on how to write Google ads for more clicks and, of course, better cost per conversions. So now let's go ahead and go through the account build. So go ahead and smash that like button. I can't believe I didn't say that before. Smash that like button if you are still watching, or smash that like button if you just skipped to this part of the video. So now let's go ahead. Time to build our campaign. You know what your offer is going to be. You've got your ads, you've got your keywords, and hopefully you have some ad copy ready to go. Let's go ahead, jump right into this. So for our campaign, we're going to be doing a search campaign, $5 to $20 a day. We're going to start it on Thursday or a couple days out, and we're going to end it in 2 weeks. We are going to target a specific location. I'll get to how to do location targeting properly. And then, of course, our bid strategy is going to be cost per click. Cost per click. Even if you don't finish watching this, use manual cost per click. Do not click that enhance button. And then we're going to rotate ads evenly, 3 to 7 keywords. We're going to skip audiences and remarketing for the first campaign, and we're going to have 2 ads per ad group. So with that, let's go ahead, jump on in. Now, as we dive into the Google Ads interface, bear with me here because I'm going to go through 2 different examples on how to actually get to the campaign settings that you need to get to properly have control over setting up your campaign. So first, I'm going to go through if you're starting an account from scratch, and then I'm going to go through if you've already set up an account and you might be stuck in the simple ads interface and you need to get over to the advanced or smart mode or whatever the heck they're calling it now. So let's assume that you are setting up a campaign from scratch and you've never actually set up an account before. So you can just head over to google.com, you click on get started, click on your account, sign in with your password, and then you'll be taken to this screen. Now, what you need to do is click on switch to expert mode. You do not want to go through this interface because Google is essentially going to put you in handcuffs and lead you straight down a path that you do not want to go on. You want both hands on the steering wheel. You don't want any autopilot whatsoever. So make sure that you click switch to expert mode. So now, just in case you already have an account, I want to point out that you can get to your billing settings at any time by clicking Tools and Settings and Billings and Payments. So that is where you can go fix your credit card information, all that fun stuff. I get a lot of questions on that. So here, when you are looking at your campaigns, if you have this switch view button, you need to click on it. So you can go to the advanced smart view, whatever the heck they're calling it, so that your page looks like this. And then you can click on new campaign, add new campaign. Now, either way you went, this is the next page that you'll see. So if you set up a new campaign, here's where you'll be after you click switch to expert mode. And if you are switching your views or creating a new campaign from an account that's already set up, here's where you want to be. So you want to be on this page. Once you're on this page, we're all on the same page, right? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a campaign without any of their pre-done settings. So going back to our diagram here, we are at the top. We are at the campaign level. We're setting up the campaign, and all of these settings that we choose now will trickle down to the ads and the ad groups. So these settings are very, very important, and you'll see why you might actually need to set up multiple campaigns, because some things you can only control at the campaign level, and that might actually change how you decide to advertise. So going back to the Google Ads interface here, we're going to go ahead and click on create campaign without audience, without goals. And then we're going to click on a search campaign, because obviously we're doing search. If we were doing something like YouTube ads or display advertising or shopping ads, we could do other things. There's lots of types of ads. Search is one of the best places to start though. So we'll go ahead and click on search. It'll ask for your website URL. You don't actually have to type this in, so I'm just going to skip it. You could put Fresh Edge Advertising, which is our example, or whatever you want. But but Google's just going to use this to give you keyword ideas that stink. So you don't need to type anything in here. So we'll go ahead and click on continue. So the first thing we want to do is, of course, give our campaign a name. Now, I recommend keeping campaign names really basic unless you're an OCD person and you like labeling things. So for us, we're just going to call it search, fresh edge advertising, and the video code for this video example, which is F1. So I know if I go back, it's a search campaign and it's for F1. So I recommend just saying search and then whatever the offer is to keep things simple. Or if you're doing locations, just put the location in brackets. You're good to go. All right. So for network settings, what we want to do is you can go ahead and include search partners. I know some people like unchecking this, but when you're on a tight, if you're on a tight budget, just go ahead and leave it checked. It's not going to hurt you too much. You can always uncheck it later if your campaign's just like totally failing. But I see this as an advantage for small advertisers like us. And then go ahead and make sure you uncheck display network. Please never put a search and display together. They're like apples and oranges. They don't mix. Don't put them together at all. Always have them separate campaigns. So once you've clicked more settings, we'll start with a start and end date. Now, I recommend starting and ending your campaign on a Monday if you plan on doing analysis on a Monday or Tuesday at the beginning of the week, or do Thursday so you can do your analysis on Friday, and then go ahead and set it for 2 weeks out. So let's say for some reason we're going to do this, October 2021, right? So the reason that you want to do a 2-week time frame is because it ensures that Google does not run away with your money, because I've read enough comments and horror stories of people forgetting that their ad campaigns were on, and Google just keeps spending the money until you tell them to stop, and they are not going to give you a refund for those ads. It can be very, very painful, and it's not fun. So let's just go ahead and make sure you set a start date and an end date. And the great thing about this is you can always increase the end. You can always make the end date go further, right? So it's not like you're locked into these 2 weeks. You can always just extend the end date if things are going well. So we'll go ahead and do that. The next settings, URL, dynamic search, and ad schedule, you can go ahead and skip. The ad schedule, you'll only want to do if your ad is tied to the hours that you're open. So if you have some sort of store and you're actually able to be open and you only want to run ads while your store is actually open, then you'd go ahead and set an ad schedule. But for the most part, just go ahead and leave that alone. And then we want to go to locations. So by default, it's going to say all countries and territories. You pretty much never ever want to do this, right? You never want to run ads to the entire world. I can't think of a single offer or single time you'd ever want to do that with a campaign. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to come down to enter another location and click on advanced settings. We're going to get this nice little pop-up and we're going to click on location. Again, do not use radius targeting. When you do, you're not going to actually be able to get detailed information on how your targeting options are performing. You're just going to get one line item that tells you all the ads and all the impressions and clicks that you got, and you're not really going to know which location was working the best. So here's how I like to break down campaigns. Again, this has to be done at the campaign level. So whatever you do here, you're going to have to copy for each new location that you want. So here's an example. Let's say we're international, right? Well, you can group 3 to 5 countries together and then run ads to those 3 to 5 countries. Ideally, I like having each campaign at maximum a country level. So if I have 3 countries I need to target, then I'm going to create a campaign for each one of those countries. And then inside of this interface right here, I'm going to say, okay, let's say I want to target the US. Well, instead of just saying United States and being done with it, right? I would say all 50 states. And that way, as traffic comes in, when I go to the locations report, I'm going to see state by state: New Hampshire, Delaware, Nevada, Nebraska, Texas, California, Oregon. You're going to be able to see all those individual states only if you paste in those states. So if you're a local based and you're doing just one state, then you're going to want to do it by big cities, maybe neighborhoods, or more ideally counties. And then if you're very local and you're just looking for people in your county or within a 50-mile radius, then you'd go ahead and put in each individual zip code of your local areas. That way you can see which zip codes are performing the best. And this is especially important if you are in real estate. You definitely want to break things down by zip code or neighborhood. So for this campaign example, I'm going to target all 50 states. I'm going to go over here and cheat and use my AdWords builder. Of course, you can go ahead and do a Google search and find whatever list of zip codes, neighborhoods, or states, provinces, territories that you need. So I'll go ahead and copy those and then paste them in, and then go ahead and click on search. I'll talk more about the Excel sheet campaign builder if you're interested when we get to keywords and ads. And then I'll go ahead and click on target all, and then click on save. And so now we're targeting each individual state, which means Google is going to tell us how each one of those states performs. Because if I just come in here and clicked on United States, then it would be one line item with all of our data, and we're not really going to know which state is performing the best. Now, something that's important is you need to click on location options and then click on people regularly in your targeted location, unless you're a hotel. So you want to make sure that you are targeting people who aren't just interested in the areas that you are targeting, but they're physically, hopefully living in or currently in the areas that you are targeting. Obviously, there are some instances, maybe you're trying to get real estate leads from out of town, in which case you'd want to set up a separate campaign for that anyway, or maybe you happen to be a hotel, right? So unless you're one of those two things, go ahead and click on people in or regularly in targeted locations. So you're getting people physically in the location that you are targeting. We're going to go ahead and just leave it at whatever the default language is, and then go ahead and skip audiences. When we talk about remarketing, we'll get to audiences. But for now, we're just doing keywords. So let's go ahead and skip it. We'll come down to our budget. Now, I recommend starting anywhere from $5 a day all the way up to $20 a day. And this is just going to depend upon your budget. So remember that we're running these ads for at least 2 weeks. So here's the quick math on how much money you could expect to spend based upon whether you're doing $5 a day, $10 a day, or $20 a day over a 14-day period. So just keep that in mind that this is going to be daily. It's going to reset every single day. It's not a total for the campaign. So now let's go to our bidding. Now for bidding, here's where Google tries to handcuff you again and lead you down a way you don't want to go. So we have to pull our control back over, and you need to click on this little thing at the bottom that says or select bidding strategy directly, not recommended. Like 9 out of 10 times when they say not recommended, it's something you should do. So we'll go ahead and click on not recommended, and then we'll go ahead and click on manual CPC here. So what this does is we're telling Google, hey, we want to control exactly how much we pay every time someone clicks. We don't want your robot trying to figure it out. Will the robots figure it out? Yes, of course the robot will figure it out. It will just take at least twice the money, if not 5 times the money, because they're just going to keep spending money until they figure out what works. Where you can shortcut that process and just go straight to manual CPC, control your costs. Both hands on the steering wheel here. So manual CPC, and of course they have one more trick up their sleeve. Go ahead and click this box to disable enhanced CPC. What enhanced CPC does is Google saying, oh, okay, well, you want to control how much you spend per click? Well, that's okay. Why don't we just every once in a while increase that a little bit when we think you're going to make some more money or you're going to get a better click or a better lead? And of course, the answer is no. You want an absolute maximum, right? So you can always check this. You can always check this later when you know the keyword works. So don't spend money before you know a keyword works, right? Okay, enough ragging on Google and how they want to help us with our cost per click. Let's go to another place where we don't want their help, and that's going to be your ad rotation. So when you click on ad rotation, optimize prefer best performing ads is what's going to be clicked by default. You want to optimize indefinitely, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be coming into your campaigns on a regular basis, at least once a week, and you're going to be looking at which ads are working, and you're going to leave those running, and then you're going to turn off the ones that aren't working. I'll talk more about exactly how to do this when we get into the experimentation cycle. But long story short, we want to make sure that Google splits the traffic evenly over all of the ads that we have in our ad groups. Otherwise, you're going to come back 2 weeks later, one ad's going to have 100 views. Thinking of YouTube, one ad is going to have 100 impressions or clicks, and then ad number 3 and 4 are only going to have 5. And you're going to go, well, how do I know which one's actually working if I'm comparing 100 clicks to 10 clicks and 15 clicks, right? So you want to make sure they're spread out evenly, so that way you know which ad is actually working. You're going to learn about your ideal customer and ad copywriting a whole lot faster. Now there's one final setting before we dive into creating your ad groups and your ads, and that is going to be your site extension. So you can have site link extensions, you can have call extensions, location extensions, but here we're just going to do callouts, keep it nice and simple. So I'll go ahead and click on callouts. You can see I have a couple here from another campaign tutorial that we're working on. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new callout, and here you have up to 25 characters, and I highly recommend having these just be features, something like free shipping, 24 customer service, free shipping over orders over 50 or something like that. I said free shipping twice. All right, and then in this example, we have contract free, ROI driven, Facebook ad experts, no account minimum, and then we're just going to go and click on add callout because we want to have at least 5. So the more you have, Google will automatically rotate through them, and you'll be able to see which ones show up, but you're not really going to know how they impact your ad. So I like to keep it definitely less than 10 and keep them nice and focused on what I actually want to show, since I can't control which ones show up when or in what order or combination. So we'll go ahead and click on save here, and then you'll be able to see the list of ones that you have highlighted for or selected for this specific campaign. So you can see here that we have some that are in other campaigns, but not in this one. So once you do these once, you can go ahead and add them to whatever campaign you want. Just don't do it at the account level. Always do it through this interface inside the campaign. And this is an example of what it will actually look like. So you can see we have description 1, and then it'll be Facebook ad experts, contact free account, audit, get more leads. Those will show up as just little phrases at the end of your description. So we're going to go ahead and click on save and continue. And when we do, we're going to get this pop-up that says something to the effect of, hey, remember how you entered that website at the beginning? We want to help you find keywords. And we're just going to say, no, that's okay. We got it, right? So always skip that. So now it's time to create our ad group. So our campaign is done. So going back to our diagram here, our campaign's locked in, good to go. Now it's time to create our ad groups, and here we're just going to be pasting in our keywords. Now I'm going to go through this relatively quickly because it's just a lot of copying and pasting, but I'll go through the first one kind of slow. So what we're going to do is, of course, give the ad group a name. I'm just zooming in here. So it's the same screen that you're looking at. I'm just zooming in so it's easier to see. So what you want to do is go ahead, give your ad group a descriptive name based upon the keywords that you are using for that ad group. So this is going to be our service plus location. So Facebook ads management plus location, Seattle. Default bid, I recommend just starting at $2 a day, and you'll quickly figure out whether or not that's too much or you need to scale it down. Because what will happen is as you run ads, Google will start to tell you how much you have to pay to be on the first page or be at the top of the first page. So they're not really going to give you that information until you give them some money. So just keep it at $2. You can always go up and down. And we just want to make sure that we're not overspending before we know which keywords are going to actually start working. And then of course we can come down to our keyword section. So all we're doing is copying and pasting our keywords in here. There's no special settings. So going back to my campaign builder, which you can check out in the description below, what this does is it automatically adds the quotations for you, and it automatically adds the brackets for you. It also has an advanced feature where you can actually export all of your campaign settings and essentially create your ad groups and ads with just a couple of clicks as opposed to copy and paste. But here, we'll just assume that you're not doing that. We'll go ahead and copy our keywords and then paste them into here, and they have to be pasted with the quotations and with the brackets, right? So we need to make sure that we do that, so each keyword is going to show up twice. So you can see here with our example keywords, we have Seattle Facebook ads management, then we have manager, campaign manager, ad management services, and Facebook marketing management. And you'll see that they're all very, very similar. And this is what we want to do. We want the keywords to be very tightly grouped, and we only have one keyword that doesn't have the city name in it, Seattle, right? So obviously you change it to whatever your location is, whether it's a city, state, or neighborhood. And of course you can experiment with targeting just your state, territory, or province, and then including the name of your state, territory, or province, and not including it. So here, Facebook marketing management, I have that there. there as just open to see how it does compared to including the name of the city that we care about, right? And then we have a exact match version of each one of those. So it's very important, do the quotations, do the brackets, and do not just paste in your keywords without those. Otherwise, you're going to do broad match. Google's just going to burn your money. It's not going to be pretty, right? So we'll go ahead and click on ad group number 2 here. We'll give our ad group a name, set the default bid to $2, and we'll get to the warnings you'll get. It's okay if you get warnings. And then of course we paste in our keywords. So I'll just go back to my Excel sheet, copy the keywords, paste them in, new ad group, rename the ad group, default bid, go to the keywords, go to my list of keywords, copy and paste, new ad group, rename the ad group, promise we're almost done, we're at 4 here, set the default bid, and then go ahead and copy the keywords, paste them in again, and now we can save and continue. That's all you have to do here. I highly recommend, if you're going to do more keyword research, don't use the tool that shows up here because it's incredibly limited and it's going to give you very broad terms that are not going to be helpful. So I highly recommend just following that template. So here's a shot of it again, and of course you can always pause and use this as a template for creating your own keyword list. You want to be very specific with your exact service, your exact offer, your exact product. So let's go ahead and click on save and continue here at the bottom, and then we're going to get to the ads. So this is going to be where we put in our ads. So going back to our diagram, we've done the campaign, we just finished up the ad groups with all the keywords telling Google, hey, here's where we want our ads to show up. Or how we want our ads to show up. And now it's time for the very last step, which is your ads. So let's go ahead, go back to the interface, and we actually need to switch back to text ads. So what you're looking at here is their new responsive search ads, where it just randomly selects different headlines and you don't actually know what's working. So we need both hands on the steering wheel. Let's go ahead and switch back. Yes, we want to switch back. I know it's not recommended. See, I told you, if it's not recommended, you should probably do it. So you'll go ahead and put the final URL at the top. This is the URL of the web page you want people to go to when they click the ad. So this is going to be your landing page, or it's going to be your specific product page. So that's what we're doing here. You don't put your normal URL, or don't put just some random URL on your site. You want the specific page that you want people to go to right here, not just putting your domain like the example. So we're going to go back over to my sheet here real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and copy my descriptions and my headlines and then paste them in. So I'm of course skipping through this process because you know how to copy and paste. And something to remember is headline number 3 is not always going to show up. So make sure that however you do your copywriting, whatever formulas you're following, whether it's ours or somebody else's, or you're gaining inspiration from competitors, that you treat the headline number 3 as a bonus. And again, the display paths are great ways to add some urgency or call out some things in your offer using things like free, limited time that might not fly if you put them in your headline. And of course you have description lines 1 and 2, both a limit of 90. And sometimes the full description doesn't even show up. So that's why we just leave the descriptions alone. You have advanced URL options. I'm gonna skip that for now. So we're going to go ahead and click on done and create next ad. And then we're just going to paste in all the information for our next ad, right? So I won't go through that process again to bore you. And then what we're going to do is click on done. And once we do, it's going to automatically take us to the next ad group. So the 2 ads we made is just for our first ad group. So we have a total of 4 ad groups, right? So we've only done 1 of them, so we have 3 left. And to save some time, I'm just gonna copy and paste virtually real quick. And so now we have our 2 ads across all 4 of our ad groups here. So zooming all the way out, you can see that we went through that process 3 more times. In the remarketing campaign, I will show you how to copy and paste the ads so you don't have to go through this process. But for your first time around, just copy and paste, keep it simple, make sure that everything is set up correctly and nothing is amiss. And we can go ahead and click on save and continue at the bottom here. And we are ready to publish our ad. Now, if you've done things correctly and you've ignored those recommendations, Google's gonna try one more time, just one more time, to let you know that they want to help you. And we are just going to say, no, we don't need your help. So when it says your campaign has some issues to fix and there's no expected traffic, yeah, that's okay, just ignore it. We'll go ahead and click on publish, and your ads may not run. Yes, we want to publish. What's going on here, I'll tell you since you're still watching. Google wants you to use broad match. So if you went back to your keyword groups and you put in a bunch of broad match keywords, then your ads would work. Or if you like double or triple your bid, then it would go away. But we're both hands on the steering wheel. We can always come back and increase things later. So we'll go ahead and click on publish despite their warnings. And now your campaign is done. It's ready to go. 2 thumbs up, pat on the back. We are done setting up your first campaign. So if you're still watching, go ahead and smash that like button. You are an absolute champion, because we know from watch time statistics, most people do not make it this far. I have no idea how they finish their campaigns, but they don't make it this far. So now what I want to do is talk about how to actually optimize your campaigns once you have started running traffic. So we're going to talk about how to make sure that your campaigns improve over time, as opposed to, we tried this campaign once and then it didn't really work, right? So we want to make sure that we're constantly improving. So this comes down to actually continually writing new ads, which is why we actually created that YouTube ads copywriting course, link in the description, if you're on your 3rd or 4th time and you're starting to run out of ideas on how to write good ads. Because copying your competitors and getting inspiration from your competitors can only take you so far. Eventually you need to start coming up with your own ideas using proven formulas. So link in the description for that. So let's go ahead, jump back into the interface here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on our campaign. So I've gone all the way back out. Our campaign's done. We're over. Let's say we're starting from a fresh slate. We're coming back 2 weeks later and we're saying, hey, what worked? What didn't? How can we improve? So we're going to go ahead and click on campaigns here, and then we're going to want to click on the campaign that we created. Now, obviously it's 0 traffic because I'm just doing this in one sitting, but we'll just say, for argument's sake, there's some traffic here, right? So once I've clicked, I clicked too fast. So I clicked on campaigns, and then I clicked on the campaign that we just made. So I clicked on it, and when you click on a campaign, it automatically takes you to your ad groups, right? So these are the 4 ad groups that we set up, and obviously there's no data, but hopefully after a week or 2, there's going to be some data here. So the way we analyze is very, very important, because we want to make sure that we focus on the 1 or 2 metrics that really matter, because there's going to be a lot of information here that doesn't matter, right? It'll be nice, but it's not really going to matter, right? So we want to 80-20, 90-10, the analysis process, and we're going to do that with columns. So I do apologize for the zooming in and out. We were trying to make sure that everything could fit on screen. So what you want to do is, once you're inside your ad group, go ahead and click on this columns option, and this is going to be able to change where you see clicks, impressions, CTR, costs, conversions. We want to change these columns because I want to show you the columns that I look at when I'm analyzing our search campaigns and our client search campaigns. So we can go and click on columns, modify columns. There might be some presets here, just ignore those as usual. And we'll click on modify columns. So here you're going to be able to decide what columns show up. How many times are we going to say columns in the next 5 minutes? Who knows? And let's go ahead and go to this slide. So you can go ahead, again, timestamps below. These are the columns that I like using when I'm looking at search campaign ad groups, right? So this is what I recommend setting up. And of course you can save these, which I'll show you in a moment. And as we dive in here, I want to quickly point out that the bounce metric is only going to show up after you've connected to your Google Analytics account, which I'm not going to be going through right now, but just something to keep in mind in the future as you begin to expand your marketing and your tracking. So let's just jump back into the interface here. And so if we click down on performance, you'll see you'll be able to check and uncheck what you want to show up as a column, and then you'll be able to click and drag the order over here. So I'll come over here and click on conversions, and I'm going to want conversions, cost per conversion, conversion rate, that might already show up by default like it is with this particular account. And then we can go ahead and click on attributes, and we're going to uncheck ad group type. I just uncheck it because I know it's a search campaign and you're not mixing different ad group types in the same campaign. So it's just wasting space, right? So, and then we're going to go ahead and come down to competitive metrics. You want search impression share and search lost is rank. And so what search impression share is it's a percentage that essentially tells you what is the potential reach of your ad group based upon your settings. And so I won't get into too much of that. You're just going to want to have that. And then search lost rank this is going to tell you the percentage of time you didn't get to run your ad because Google didn't like it, right? So this is actually one of the more advanced metrics you'll start to look at as you begin to improve your ads. But the first really month or two, you're not really gonna have to worry about it, but you just want it there because it's going to be important after your first couple weeks of running traffic. And then we can go ahead and click on apply. You'll see right above apply, you can save your column set. And I highly recommend doing that. Just give it some name like search ad groups or something. And that way, once you've saved it, you're going to be able to easily pull it up with every single new search campaign that you create. I'm just going to go ahead and click apply. And now we're back at the ad group level, looking at all of our new columns. So even though we added some columns like impression share and search rank lost, you're going to worry about that starting probably week number 4 and 5. So you're just set up for success down the road. But rewind to right now, is in the first or second week of your campaign. The only two things you should be looking at is your click-through rate and your average cost per click. So click-through rate is the golden metric Google is looking at as whether or not your ad is cool or it stinks. So the higher your click-through rate, the better it, essentially that is the higher percentage of people who see your ad are clicking. That means more people are clicking and Google is not gonna charge you as much money. It's really cool. The better your ads do, the less you ultimately have to pay per click. So if you have a really bad click-through rate on an ad group here, what you're going to want to do is click through and see why is it bad, right? So we just want to know, we want to give more money to good click-through rates and take away money from bad click-through rates. And that's pretty much it. And the average cost per click is something that you want to keep in mind for yourself. So the CTR, that's for Google. Google cares about the CTR. We care about the cost per click. So you see why we're only looking at these two. So as an example, if we went into a campaign and we see there's a CTR of something crazy like 10%, right? And it's like, oh, this is awesome. 10 out of 100 people are clicking on my ad, but it costs you $20 per click. Well, you're probably not going to want to do that, even though the cost per click is really good. So that's how you balance the two. You want to make sure that even if it's a great cost per click, you're not paying so much for those clicks that it's going to essentially suck up all of your budget or bankrupt your budget. And speaking of budget hogs, that is the number one thing you want to look for when you're first analyzing your campaign. So I'm going to click on overview here, and then I'm going to come back over to our diagram. So we have the campaign level, the ad group level, and the ads. Now, essentially what we're doing is we're just looking at click-through rates and we're looking at average cost per click, and we're just pausing what doesn't work for us. You pause the keywords that aren't working for you. You pause the ads that aren't working for you. You pause the campaigns that aren't working for you. That's how experimentation works. You just pause it and move on. Now, I want to go through this example because this is very, very common when you're first starting. So let's say we have 4 ad groups here and you were spending, let's say $20 a day. So it's a couple weeks later, and you go and look at the spend and you see ad group number 1 over the past 7 days. Well, we'll say 7 days. Over the past 7 days, spent $20. Then ad groups 2 through 5, they spent $5, $2, $4.50. Well, that's a big red flag because you have an ad group that is essentially stealing all of your budget from the other ad groups. And what that means is you aren't getting an even distribution of your spend. And so you don't really know what's working because one ad group is, I gave away what to do. One ad group is sucking up all of that money. So what do? You just make a new campaign and you pause. So what you'd want to do is you'd go ahead and make a new campaign with the keywords that are sucking up all the budget, and then go ahead and pause that ad group in the old campaign. Now, as a disclaimer, this is going to hurt your campaign's performance because there is going to be some level of repaying you're going to have to do in that new campaign for a few days. But what's most important is because you set your budget at the campaign level, you need to pull out that ad group, put it in its own campaign, and then say, only spend $5 on this, and then maybe $15 for the other 4. And that way you're making sure things are spread much more evenly. Because at the ad group level, you can't control how much is being spent. So just keep that in mind. So that's what you want to look for at the ad group level, in addition to just pausing keywords that don't work, right? And then for your ads, all you have to do is go into each ad group and look for the one that's working the best, and then look for the one that's not. And just pause the one that's not, and then copy the one that is and try a new version. And you're going to do that constantly. You're always going to look for which one's working, which one's not. Pause the one that's not, copy the one that is and make a new one. And then you're going to come back a week later and maybe the copy did better. So what do? You pause the original one and you copy it again and you try a new variation. So that's why copywriting with your ads is so important, because that's the only part of this process where you're going to constantly be in changing it and engaged with it. It's a never ending cycle. So that does it for what to look for. Now, you do want to make sure that you don't ever make these adjustments before it's time, right? So you want to have at least 1,000 impressions on an ad group before you make any sort of decision. So if you're looking at an ad group and it's 500 impressions, don't touch it. It's still collecting data. It's still working. It might be painful when you look at that budget, but just don't touch it. Wait for at least 1,000 impressions before you start making any decisions in that ad group, right? So that's 1,000 impressions across all the keywords, and you only have 7 keywords in there. So you need to make sure that you have 1,000 impressions. And then when it comes to your ads, so you want to have 100 clicks before you say this ad works and this one doesn't. But if you're on a tight budget and you're looking at it, you're going, okay, it's going to be like $500 before I get 100 clicks on both of them. Well, then go for impressions. You want 1,000 impressions across the 2 ads that you're testing before you actually make a decision, right? And of course, that links up to 1,000 impressions for your ad group. So if you have 2 ads and your ad group gets 1,000 impressions, that means your 2 ads, between the 2 of them, got 1,000 impressions. 500 each because you rotated evenly, right? So you clearly know which ad's working. So you can kind of see how all of these settings are coming together as you go through the experimentation. I realize that's a lot to take in, so make sure you comment below if you have any questions with that process. So now it's time for remarketing. Now, when it comes to your remarketing campaigns, what you're going to be doing is setting up a campaign that targets people who've already come to your website but haven't opted into your lead generation funnel or haven't purchased one of your products. Now, when it comes to e-commerce, there's a lot of cool things you can do with remarketing, but here we're going to keep it simple and stay with our lead generation example. So all you need to do is come back into your Google Ads interface and you're going to click on Tools and Settings. And then you're going to click on Shared Library. And once you do, you're going to click on Audience Manager. Now, when you first click on Audience Manager, it's probably not going to have a list of audiences like this. It's going to look more something like this, where you're going to need to set up your remarketing tag. And I will link up in the description to a full-blown Google Tag Manager course that walks you through exactly how to set that up. So you can actually just go through just click on Start Now and go through the interface real quick. You can always come back and grab the code later because I want you to set this up right now. This is very important. So once you quickly go through that, you're going to be able to create an audience. And so essentially we want to tell Google, hey, we want to show ads to people who saw our offer but didn't take us up on it, right? So that's all we're doing with our remarketing campaign. You can get really fancy, but let's just keep it simple when we're starting. So let's go ahead and click on Website Visitors here, and we'll give our audience a name. I like naming it the action or inaction that's been taken. So here it's going to be non-converts or non-converters and the offer that they didn't take us up on, the Facebook ads audit. And then for the different options here, we want to say visitors of a page who did not visit another page, right? So we'll go ahead and click on that. And then we're actually going to be able to change our settings. So we can say the page URL equals, contains, starts with, ends with. This is very important if you're an e-commerce site, right? Because most likely you are, chronowatches.com/menswatch, right? And then chronowatches.com/womenswatch/sport. And then that's why you'd want to use contains, because then you could start segmenting audiences based upon which types of watches they were looking at. Whereas here, we are just collecting leads. So we have a landing page, we have a confirmation page. Nice and simple. So that's why I like lead generation. So we'll go ahead and click on equals, and then we need to grab the URL of our landing page. So here's our landing page. So we'll go ahead and copy that URL and we'll paste it in here. So anyone who's visited that page but did not visit, so we'll go ahead and click on equals here. And then we need the URL of our confirmation page, our thank you page. So I can go over to here. This is the page that shows up right after the landing page. So if they didn't take us up on the landing page, they didn't see this page at all, right? So we can go ahead and copy this URL and then go ahead and paste it in here. So now we've set up an audience of people who did not convert, did not take us up on the offer. And then we can come down here to our options. We can pre-fill, membership duration, and description. So we're gonna go ahead and pre-fill this list. Now you're just starting, so there's probably nobody on your list. But on the off chance that you already had a remarketing tag on your site, you can go ahead and do this and actually retroactively capture some people, which is pretty cool. And then membership duration, I recommend doing 540 days, because unless you're spending thousands of dollars a month, if not a week, your audience size is going to be too small if you do 30 days, 7 days, 14 days. I know you want to get people who are hot off your website and you know they're looking and it's just been a couple days and we should get them right now, but until you're spending thousands of dollars, the audience is going to be so small, Google won't let you run ads. So we got to go ahead and change it to 540 days for now, but hey, it's a good goal to shoot for. We can go ahead and give it a quick description just so we or whoever else is in our ad account knows what it's for. And we'll go ahead and click on create audience. And now you can see non-converters, Facebook audit in our audience manager. So we can go ahead and click on it and we give us information about the size of the audience, and it will be different for different platforms. So for example, you sometimes might come in here and the search size might be 100, but then the display size might be 15,000. So these are most likely not going to be the same numbers. And this just tells you how many people you can target on these different types, on these different networks, right? So you can go ahead and remarket to them on YouTube, display, Gmail, but we'll leave that for a separate video because this one's long enough, right? So now that we have our audience, we're ready to make our remarketing campaign because we have an audience to target. So it's pretty much going to be the same as setting up your first campaign, but there are two big differences when it comes to your campaign settings. So we'll go ahead and go back here. You can click on new campaign. I don't know why, I just always go to campaigns and then the blue plus button. I guess it's just out of habit. So we'll go ahead and rename our campaign remarketing because that's what we're doing here. We'll still include search partners. If you want to do display, that's totally okay. Just do it in a different campaign. So then you'd go through your location targeting, of course, and your language targeting as well. I'm just skipping that for time purposes. And you'd go ahead and click on audiences here. And this time we're going to click on browse, and then we'll click on remarketing similar audiences, how they've interacted with our site, website visitors, and then we're going to select non-converters, Facebook audit. So we go ahead and click on that. And you see here, that's the selection in our column. We can click on others if we want. Like we can target people who haven't, all people who've converted or all people who've seen our site, but obviously we want to target the people who saw our site but didn't take the action that we want. And then you'll see down here, by default, again, it says observation recommended. So when we see our recommended, what does that mean? We do the exact opposite. We go ahead and click on targeting. So what this does is it's telling Google, all right, we want people who showed up to our site, the specific page we set, and then didn't opt in. And if they don't meet that criteria, don't show them any ads. That's what our remarketing is. Observation is essentially just adding this is an and, or is an or as opposed to an and. So I realize I shouldn't have said or and and. We'll just leave it at that. Make sure you click on targeting. I'm talking. It's been a long video. Okay, so targeting. Let's go ahead and go down. So once you've added your site links and your callouts, let's go ahead and create your ad groups. Now, this is going to be the one time where you use broad match. So we'll go ahead and zoom in here. We give our ad group a name, set it to $2 per click. Now, if you have a little bit more of a budget, then I'd recommend going as high as $4 per click because these are very targeted people. So essentially what we're doing is we're telling Google if someone who's come to our site who hasn't converted types in anything related to Facebook advertising management, we want to show up. And that's why we're using broad match, because we have the protection that we know our ads are only going to show up if they've already been to our website. So that's what's very important when using these broad match keywords. So we go ahead and we would create a new ad group, and we would create a new broad match ad group for every ad group that we already made. So essentially, we're just going to rapid fire through these 4 different ad groups. Same keywords, we're just not using phrase or exact. We're using broad. And now we can go ahead and click on save and continue. We'll switch back to text ads. And yes, we want to switch back. And we'll go ahead and paste in all of our same ad information. You don't have to get really fancy here. You can literally just show the same ads again. And you're going to eventually start split testing, of course. And your ads that you show for the new people versus your remarketing will naturally change over time. So no need to try and change them on the outset. Just use the same ads. Save yourself some time and headache because it's not going to make a statistical difference. And then we'll go ahead and paste in for our second ad here. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and click on done because I'm going to show you how to copy and paste your ads across multiple ad groups. So we'll click on done here that's highlighted, and you'll see we have our ad group number 1 ads done, and we are actually just going to skip the other one. So we're coming down to number 2 here. You see in progress, we can just come all the way down to the bottom and click on save and continue without making ads for the other 3 ad groups. So we're going to click on save and continue. It's going to tell us there's issues again. Of course there's issues. We know. That's okay. Don't spend our money recklessly, and go ahead and click on publish. And once our remarketing campaign has been created, all we need to do is copy those 2 ads to the other 3 ad groups that we skipped. So all we need to do is come over here to ads and extensions. We'll click on ads and extensions, and then we'll go ahead and select all of our ads, and we'll come up here to edit, and we are going to copy. We're going to get that nice little notification at the bottom, and that lets us know that the ads have been copied. I'm going to come over here and exit out of our selection, and then this paste icon is going to show up. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can just click on the paste icon right now. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and then it will pull up all of the campaigns that you have in your account. So we have a bunch of demo campaigns here, and of course there's our search campaign, but we want to copy these ads into our remarketing campaign. So we'll go ahead and click on our remarketing campaign, and then we can select all 3 of the ad groups that we didn't paste the ads into and go ahead and click on done. The first time you do this, just click pause to make sure that you've done it correctly. So we'll go ahead and click on pause after pasting, and we will paste them in. We'll go ahead and click on enable, and as you can see here, we go ahead and do that for each one of our ads, and scrolling down you can see that all the ads are enabled. I'll just go ahead and click on ad group so you can see our remarketing campaign is ready and good to go. Thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got a tremendous amount of value out of this video. And most importantly, you have at least 2 campaigns set up. Your remarketing campaign is good to go, and your new search campaign is good to go. Comment below with any of your questions. Again, timestamps below to come back to this video. You definitely shouldn't expect to get through this process in one sitting. It is a lot to take in. Sincerely hope you have success with your campaigns, and of course to help you with marketing your campaigns and ensuring that you can set up new campaigns quickly and write high performing ads. Make sure you check out the link in the description to our copywriting course as well as our Google Ads Campaign Builder tool. So until the next, keep building the business you love.